Here are 3 common home repair scams that can cost unsuspecting homeowners thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. I have to start by sending a big thank you to all of the many honest tradespeople out there who work with integrity and are out to make people's lives better. This video is aimed at helping homeowners avoid the scams from those not so honest tradespeople that are just out there to make a buck, no matter the cost to their unsuspecting victims. For each of these scams, I'll show you not only what these corrupt individuals are doing, but I'll also show you how you can test these supposed problems yourself to see if they're real or not. After that, I'll walk you through 3 tips that are proven to help avoid getting ripped off. The first scam is one that happened to a good friend of mine a few years back. It's a pretty appalling practice, but it happens all the time. My good friend Robert had an HVAC maintenance tech come out to his house to perform a midwinter tune-up on his furnace several years back. After a few minutes of poking around, he tells Robert that his heat exchanger had a crack in it. He pulls out his phone and he shows him a picture of a strange-looking object that clearly had a crack in it. Like most people, Robert wasn't sure what he was looking at, but he knew it didn't look good. The catch? He used a picture of someone else's cracked heat exchanger and told Robert it was his. An actual cracked heat exchanger can absolutely be deadly. It causes carbon monoxide to leak into the house, and in this scam being pulled on my friend, the HVAC tech actually shut off the gas to his furnace so there was no heat in his house, and told Robert that the furnace needed to be replaced before he could turn the heat back on. So let's be clear here, the tech had no right to do this at all. The tech told Robert that the cost to replace the furnace would be an astounding $10,000. Keep in mind, this replacement today can cost upwards of $15,000. Now, Robert's a loving father and husband, but of course he didn't have $10,000 sitting around to spend on this. Not wanting to subject his family to possible carbon monoxide poisoning, he and his family left the furnace off to be safe until they could get enough money together for a replacement furnace. After freezing for months and saving all their pennies, Robert wisely called a different company to come look at replacing the furnace, but when the new tech came out, he did a thorough inspection and then informed Robert that there was no crack in the heat exchanger. In fact, there was nothing wrong with the furnace at all. The new tech turned the furnace back on, and it ran great, just like it had before the scammer showed up. The original tech was just looking for a huge commission, so when Robert didn't immediately pay, he left my poor friend and his family without heat during the cold winter months, with each of them thinking that they'd be poisoned if they turned the furnace back on. What a scumbag thing to do. This kind of thing makes me furious, so let's talk about what you can do if you think this is happening to you. It's important to recognize why this particular scam is so popular amongst crooked HVAC technicians. It's because A, most people have no clue what a heat exchanger is, B, they don't know how to access it, and C, they don't know how to diagnose it. Not to mention the fact that they're made to fear for their lives and the lives of their families with a potential carbon monoxide leak in the house. Luckily, there are several cheap and easy DIY methods for checking to see if you have a cracked heat exchanger. If you have carbon monoxide detectors in your home, those should be the first things you check. Obviously, if your CO levels are high, you need to get to the bottom of it ASAP. I made a whole video about how to find a good deal on a quality carbon monoxide detector that you can check out right up here or by scanning the QR code on the screen. An even more accurate way to know if there's a crack in the heat exchanger involves using a long match like this. My friend Dave from the DIY HVAC Guy channel made an awesome video demonstrating how to do this, and I wanted to show you just how easy this is. Also, I know Dave in real life and he's a total stud, so go ahead and subscribe to his channel if you want to save tons of money and learn a bunch too. He's the real deal. For this method to work, you'll want to set your thermostat to fan only. We want to make sure the heat is not on, and as an extra precaution, I recommend just turning the gas to your furnace off altogether. With the blower fan running, light the long match and then place the lit end inside each of the large heat exchanger tubes, testing one at a time. The flame on the match should run straight up and down and not dance around or blow out. It should be pretty stable. If the flame dances around a lot or gets blown out in one of the tubes, you know there's a crack or a leak there. When there's a hole in the heat exchanger, the air from the blower fan will leak into the heat exchanger tubes and put out the flame or make it visibly dance around. You can also do this using a long lighter like one of these. It's a quick and simple way to check for a cracked heat exchanger yourself. Another way to check for a cracked heat exchanger is to examine the color of the flames while the furnace is running. All of your flames in the heat exchanger tubes will likely be blue, but you may notice one that's a lot more orange or yellow. That typically means there's a problem in that area. So if an HVAC technician says you have a crack in your heat exchanger, ask them to show you on your actual furnace or to perform a diagnostic test right there in front of you. It's easy for anyone to pull up a Google image on their phone and make you think it's your furnace, since you probably wouldn't know the difference. Just FYI, if you actually have a cracked heat exchanger, you'll likely notice some or all of the following symptoms. CO detector is going off, you're experiencing flu-like symptoms at home, or there's a lack of heat from your furnace. The second scam is the AC recharging scam. You might notice your air conditioner is running but not cooling your house down effectively. This is often caused by a refrigerant leak in either your condenser unit, your evaporator, or in one of your lines. The scam can happen when a repair person tells you your AC unit needs recharging. Now that word should be a red flag to you. They essentially top off the refrigerant in your unit, charge you for the refrigerant used plus the labor costs, and they don't actually fix anything. The idea here is that they're kicking the can down the road, hoping that you'll call back at a later date when it stops working again, and then they'll try to sell you a whole new system, again, charging you thousands of dollars. It's important here to know the scammer's language. Recharging your air conditioner is not a thing. So if someone says that to you, invite them to get the heck off your property. Detecting a leak in your condenser unit can actually be pretty simple, and there are a couple of options. The easiest way is to spray a bubble solution anywhere you suspect a leak might be. There are a couple of telltale signs to look for. Refrigerant has a sort of sweet smell, kind of like nail polish remover, so be on the hunt for that. The second sign to watch out for is an oily spot somewhere along the line. If the bubble solution doesn't show you where the leak is, you can also use a refrigerant leak detection tool like this one, which runs about $140. It makes an audible beep when a leak is detected, and it shows you on the screen. Now that said, most folks will prefer to call a pro and have them check rather than spend the money to DIY this part. A good technician will run both of these tests and should be able to demonstrate both of them on your unit, giving you peace of mind that they know what they're talking about and they're being honest. The final scam I want to talk about is the water heater replacement scam. Just like with the issues of your furnace or AC not working, when you have no hot water in your house, it becomes a pretty big deal pretty quickly. That's what makes all of these scams so appealing to the scammers. You need a solution right away, and they're hoping you'll believe whatever they say as long as it provides a solution. The fact is that a lot of different things can go wrong with a water heater, and many of them are testable and repairable. It may be as simple as a blown fuse or a tripped circuit for electric water heaters, or a pilot light that went out on a gas water heater. If a dishonest technician suspects that you might not know any better, instead of doing a simple repair, you may be told that you need a whole new water heater installed, even if the water heater isn't very old. Being able to troubleshoot the potential issues that a water heater can have will save you a ton of money. It really could be that something just needs to be tightened, but how would you know that unless you've been educated? Now to help with this, I've made a free downloadable PDF document with the most common issues that water heaters have, along with solutions and troubleshooting techniques for each of them. Print it out, tape it on your water heater, and then the next time you have questions, you'll have a quick reference guide right where you need it. It covers everything from water being too hot to lukewarm water to no hot water at all. Check the link in the description or scan the QR code over here to get your free water heater troubleshooting guide today. I also have a couple of videos on how to replace the anode rod in your water heater, which can add a lot of life to that bad boy and prevent stinky water, as well as a complete walkthrough on how to replace your water heater yourself. It's actually easier than most people realize and can save you thousands of dollars. As promised, here are the 3 tips that can help just about anyone avoid these types of scammers. Tip number 1, always get referrals from friends and family. Ask them who they've used and had good experiences with, and stick with those contractors. Number 2, getting a second or a third opinion is actually extremely common in the HVAC and plumbing industries. Most good techs actually encourage this. Don't be afraid to tell a technician that you're going to hold off on a repair or a replacement and have someone else come take a look. And finally, number 3, see what you can do to troubleshoot the problems yourself. There are forums and videos and articles online that will help you figure this stuff out. And even if you're not the type to do the repairs yourself, you can be educated when a professional comes to assess the situation. Remember my buddy Dave from DIY HVAC Guy channel? Well, he actually helped me put together a pretty cool video where we actually surprised my mother-in-law with air conditioning for the first time in her life. I'm Nils with Learn to DIY. Thanks for watching.